morning, guys. Oh, it's such a gorgeous morning. It's very autumnal this morning and it's really fresh and I love it because I've got a jumper on, I've got a gilet on. I'm in my happy place. Sienna, she's making me laugh this morning. You're a bit stinky, aren't you, dear? I don't know how well you're going to see. This is all poo. All of it through her mane, round her eye. Actually hasn't got a fat eye this morning. Anyway, yeah, she stinks. You absolutely pong this morning. We're gonna have to try and wash your face, which is gonna be fun. It's all through her forelock as well. She is gross. She must have literally stuck her head in her poo. Charming. Anyway, obviously this vlog is a bit of an update on her. We're now on week 4, can you believe that? Week 4 of this rehab, which is scary that time's gone that fast. Week 4, we can do lots of things now really. There's not really anything apart from canter work. We can trot. I'm not doing masses of trot work, but she can do trotting. We can kind of do lateral work and everything in hand, long reining and so on. She can lunge now. Still having the dilemma whether to lunge her with a training aid on or not. There's so much conflicting advice online and from vets. And yeah, I don't know where to go with that. That's one of the things I'm really struggling with. Do I get a training aid for her? Not a pursuer, because I come to the conclusion pursuers are really not that good for your horse anymore. But I am quite tempted by the Equestrian. It's quite a lot of money though. But yeah, it's a bit more fun, a bit more entertaining. So I'm going to bring you guys along for an in-hand session, which I think is probably my favourite. Show you what we've been working on and go from there. How she's getting on. She's doing all right actually. At the end of week 4, my vet said that we would reassess her, and if we thought that the injections into her spinal processes had made a difference and that we'd seen a big difference in the way she was going, then she would refer her to surgery. Now, since understanding a bit more about kissing spine and reading so much more online, I probably would not do that now. I'm not saying no to surgery in the future, but right now I think I'd want to stick with the rehab and give that longer just to see if we can help her that way. But like I say, that's not saying that I wouldn't do this in the future and go down the surgery route. Just for now, I'd rather continue with the rehab. I mean, you have to do rehab after surgery anyway, but you know what I mean. That being said, I'm not convinced. It's really hard. I'm not convinced I've seen enough evidence that she is hugely improved to make me 100% confident that it is all the kissing spine that was causing her ridden behaviour. Annoyingly, bless her, she's come up with all these bumps on her back again. But when the vet medicated her back, she also gave her an injection of something and it got rid of it all. But they've come back, so she's obviously allergic to something. I'm imagining it's some sort of grass or something, especially in the top field. But yeah, it's most frustrating. Oh, you two all right down there? You're not normally friendly to the dog. I don't entirely trust you. Because if the dog's out in the field, you try and kill her. Yeah. She can't stand near you with poo on your face. Yeah, so I'm not convinced I have seen a massive improvement. Think there are improvements, like I said before, like she's halting square all round now, which she never did, and she's definitely halting with her back legs more under her, which is brilliant. Hopefully that means she is taking a bit more weight behind. That means she's taking her hind legs more under her, hopefully meaning that she's coming up through the back more, which is what we want. I mean, I think she does look a little less dipped in the back. She was never hugely dipped, but I think she looks a little less dipped. But saying that, she's not had a saddle on. And naturally, when horses are wearing saddles day in, day out, they will have a bit more of a dipped back. So it could simply just be that because she's not had a saddle on, her back's not quite as dipped. So it's hard. I don't really quite know where to go from here. I have had thoughts of whether maybe something else is going on. Maybe the kissing spine is one part of the problem. Maybe there's another issue. Hopefully not, but you never know. Interestingly with her kissing spine, which is why the vet never thought she had it, and while it wasn't initially ever picked up, is that she's never been sensitive over her back, ever. Like, you can put quite a lot of pressure down her back and she has never once dropped. She's never been girthy or anything like that. So sometimes I question, is the kissing... Yes, she's got kissing spine, we know that, we've had x-rays done. But it may be that kissing spine doesn't affect her and it is another problem. Or just she isn't sensitive over her back. Who knows? If only she could talk. So at the moment, I'm just going to continue with the kissing spine. I'm chatting to my vet. Knowing my vet's now just gone off because she got injured, so she can't come out. But I'm chatting with her to see if we think there could be something else going along. Who knows what, but I think we need to check out other areas just in case. What are you looking at? Anyway, like I say, I'm going to continue with the rehab program. I'm going to bring you guys along and show you our in-hand session and try and clean that poo off your face. Stinky girl.
So initially in this session, I just walked Sienna around in hand, around the outside of the school, just allowing her to just chill, slowly warm up. And then after about probably 5 minutes, I then stopped to put the roller on and put the bum band on today. So you'll have seen in a few videos recently, she's been wearing the core band, but not the bum band. So I'm only going to put this on her for about 4 or 5 minutes today, because I'm going to increase it gradually with her, because obviously it is going to have an impact on the way she's moving, so it wouldn't be something I'd want to use for the whole session. It's something that has to be done gradually. And then we moved on to this simple pole layout, which is 3 fan poles at the top, 3 fan poles at the bottom, and then 2 raised poles in the middle. And this was just a walk exercise. As I say, walking over poles is probably nearly more beneficial than trotting over poles, because you haven't got that natural spring that they have in the trot, so they have to physically actually pick their feet up off the ground when they walk over and step over the poles. So figure of 8 is really good because it means we're changing bend as we're going over the poles. So good for our suppleness, good for that kind of engagement of the hindquarters, good for core strength, good for working on that top line. And yeah, simply I just walked her through it for quite a while actually. Another good part of her warm-up, really, you can see here now, I've just fast forwarded it here, trying to make sure that when we're going over the curved poles that she's got a little bit of bend in her body, trying to make sure that she tries to drop and lower her head and neck so that we have more roundness over the back. And yeah, just a good way to start this session. Then moved on to an exercise that we've done quite a bit of, which is small circles in a sort of long and low outline for Sienna. So really good at making her bend through her body. I'd say I'm sort of facing her shoulder, and I'm trying to use the dressage whip to help her bend her body. So I kind of will point the stick at her stomach, or I'll give her a little tickle there, just to help her understand the shaping I'm looking for. Lots of changing bends, so going on to the other rein to really help with that suppleness. You can see she's quite a bit tighter on her right rein. She doesn't have quite the softness through her body, but she is dropping her head and neck at times, which is good. Then we move on to some rein back, which we've been doing literally from the beginning of this rehab. So it's a great way to engage your horse's hindquarters, gets them to just carry that little bit more weight behind and lighten the forehand. And it's something I'll probably do maybe 3 or 4 times throughout a session. I will often come back to these sort of small, long and low circles that I like to do with Sienna. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of pressure on her body just to really help her get to bend, make sure that she's dropping her head and neck and that she's nice and relaxed. She doesn't need to rush. She just needs to take her time, step through well. And you can see actually she's got better to how she did them even a little bit earlier. And the right rein, you can just see she just doesn't step through with that inside hind leg quite as much as she does on the left rein. So Sienna's halts are one of the things that have really improved. She's so much straighter and squarer behind. She tends to have her hind legs more under her, but every now and then she will forget the front legs. So I will just remind her and keep working on her standing up nice and square. The next exercise I'm doing with Sienna is turn on the forehand. She's done this a few times now. She's getting much better at it. It's a great exercise to increase your horse's suppleness, build muscle, flexibility, especially across their back. Now, when she is moving to the left like she is now, I'm really pleased because she's crossing over, but this is definitely her weaker side. So when that right hind has to step under, I think she finds it quite tricky. So I tend to do only a few steps at a time. Sometimes I have to just use the stick to stop the outside shoulder from falling through, so sometimes she can't quite hold herself together as she steps and crosses over, so I'll just try and steady her a little bit. But I'm really pleased with her progress. I allow her to take her time, think about what she's doing, because I think it's quite an effort to really lift like that. But it's something she has got so much better about, and she's definitely beginning to understand. Again, coming to this direction, which she finds harder, sometimes I have to ask a little more. But it's definitely getting better, and I'm definitely seeing that cross with the hind legs, which is what we are looking for. Now to move on to some in-hand lateral work, and as you can see we're doing a little bit of shoulder in, which starts off well. I have to say I'm very pleased with her, and then we sort of lose it a little bit and we just sort of end up crossing diagonal. I should have left the line of poles I had up for the exercise last time, because it would have just given us something to work against. It's quite difficult for Sienna when we're just in the middle of the school and no sort of support, but she's certainly starting to get the idea of it. We go nice and slowly. I try and match my kind of pace and stride with hers, so trying to help her stay nice and steady. Sometimes when she struggles with it, she tends to slightly bowl through me and tries to pick up too much speed so she can just kind of get away. So it's quite a juggling act, managing her tempo, making sure that she's not just pushing through me, and at the same time making sure she's got the correct angle through her body. But there are definitely glimmers here where I think, yes, she's really starting to get the right shape. She's starting to sort of, show a bit of shoulder in, and make sure I give her lots of breaks in between, because obviously this is quite hard work for her. So allowing her some time to stretch, relax, and then going back to it. Now moving on to a little bit of leg yield. Again, all quite new to her and me. Loving how brilliant in-hand lateral work is, actually, simply because you can be so much more precise with your horse. Make sure they move their hindquarters. Whenever I've been teaching horses, when you're riding them, so often their hindquarters get left behind and it's very hard to kind of keep the horse from moving them over. When you're on the ground, you can obviously, using with the stick, you can give them a little tickle on their bum and say, no, you must cross. So though this leg yield isn't perfect, there are many times when Sienna actually really does cross and steps under really nicely, even if it is only for a stride or two. A little bit too much neck bend from her here. Again, she was just slightly running through that outside shoulder, and I was struggling a little bit to kind of maintain it all. It may look super slow, but it's really important Sienna takes the time to step under correctly. If she goes too far, she tends to forget, and then she just tends to run through the bridle. It's all learning. And you can see there is some good angles at times. Now we moved on to a little bit of trot. So this is the first time I've ever done this with her. Hopefully, further down the line, we may be able to do some of the lateral work in trot. So I now need to teach her to trot slow enough next to me so that I can do that. And actually doing a very kind of steady, slight jog trot is also quite good for her. So this was the first time of me trying to get her to trot nice and slow. But bless her, I thought she did a really good job. And so I could keep up with her.
Hi guys, I thought I'd come on and finish the vlog. So pleased with today's session. Sienna was so good. She, most of all because she was quite quiet, she was focused, she was listening, and these are all the things she hasn't been doing this week so far. And the lateral work is really coming on. I know it's not there yet, but there's definitely moments where I see her get the shaping right and I'm like, well done, Sienna. And it's definitely something that I'm going to use a lot in the future, not just for her, but for other horses, because it's so nice to be able to really help them get the shaping right for that lateral work from the ground. It is quite a juggling act because you're obviously trying to help them direct their body, but at the same time watch they don't fall out the shoulder, which she does do quite a lot. But it's really good. I'm loving it, and I know I'm not experienced in it yet, but I'm hoping as time gets on I'll become more knowledgeable at it. You're right there, Angus. Happy there. But I did want to say to anyone that's like, oh, it looks so easy, and how lucky Sienna's being so good and blah blah blah. It wasn't like that at the beginning of the week. Monday I lunged her and she didn't lunge particularly well with the 2 lunge lines, so I took all the kind of roller off and everything. I thought I'd just lunge her off of 1 rein, and she just bombed round on the end of the lunge trying to gallop, and I was thinking, oh god, just thinking you're just doing damage to yourself right now. And then Tuesday I did an in-hand session like that, and she just wasn't on the ball at all. She didn't really want to be there. She wasn't focused. She wanted to just look out into the field, and she was getting quite cross. And when you're just going around going, I feel like we're not progressing in any shape or form. And then I feel so pleased today. I've had a little bit of reward, so you just got to stick at it, because rehabbing is hard work. It's so daft. I really didn't think it would be difficult, because I was thinking, well, how hard is doing some in-hand work and long reining, and I still get to take her out for hacks off the lead and stuff. I was thinking it can't be that difficult, but I think there's a pressure that you've got to stick to it. You cannot come off it. You can't have a day where you think, oh, I can't bothered. And there's definitely been times this week when I felt a bit tired and it's been really hot, and I thought I really don't want to go and do it, and then I thought you've got to. And also when you add in I'm still using the massage ball on her a lot and making sure she's getting a good groom and the carrot stretches, and it takes a lot of time. But hopefully it'll be worth it, and we will continue on this journey of trying to figure out if it is the kissing spine that's affecting her, if there's anything else going on. But I am really pleased with her progress with the rehab work. I think that has helped her. It's just figuring out whether medicating the kissing spine has also helped or not, and that one seems a little bit more of a trickier question to answer.